Hi, Parker. Nice to meet you. Yes.
Nice to meet you, Charlie.
Big TikTok guy here.
So, like, pedophiles, people who were married to children in the past and normalized in that society, should they go to prison?
Should pedophiles
Like,
go
if
to
you could go
prison?
back in time, would you put those pedophiles in prison that married those children because it was normalized? They were deceived into thinking it's okay. Would you put them in prison?
Parker is setting a moral consistency trap, but it's really flawed. Because it's a presentism fallacy. He's asking Charlie to apply modern morality to a completely different time period. That's called presentism. If you accept that logic, you could jail almost everyone in history. By that logic, should we go back and imprison doctors from the 1800s for not using modern medicine? Or people who didn't believe in germ theory? That standard collapses instantly.
Sorry.
Pedophiles should get the death penalty.
Charlie just walked into a contradiction. He didn't account for context, time, legality, and culture. This sounds strong emotionally, but logically it's reckless. He's making a universal claim without defining conditions, then immediately gets trapped when time or context is introduced. Like, for instance, if someone grows up in a society where something is normalized, are they equally guilty as someone who knows it's wrong today? If yes, then moral responsibility becomes meaningless.
No, so you'd go back in the past, you'd give them the death penalty, even though they were deceived into thinking it was okay? But you said people who get abortions who are women shouldn't go to prison.
But it's not currently illegal.
Okay, regardless.
pedophilia
at that time, it wasn't.
No, I would not go back and retroactively enforce laws where things were currently not illegal.
You wouldn't.
Charlie actually gives a strong legal principle here. And I think this is where Parker makes a mistake by ignoring legal consistencies. To be honest, this is actually Charlie's strongest moment. He's appealing to a core of legal principle, no retroactive punishment. Without that, any society becomes unstable. Just imagine if tomorrow a new law passes and suddenly everything you did 5 years ago becomes illegal. Would you accept prison time for that? Nobody would.
Put pedophiles in prison in the past.
Hold on a second. When was it illegal? When was it legal in America?
Well, child marriage was legal in America throughout the early 1900s and especially throughout most of society for thousands of years, especially in the Old Testament and in the Bible. Right?
Hold on a second. So where is the Levitical law that allows you to marry a child?
Oh, yeah.
Can you name the verse?
Well, I can't name the verse. But
Okay, here we see Parker's argument is from ignorance and weak authority, like he's referencing the Bible but can't support it. This is a credibility hit. If you're making a claim about a text, you need evidence. Otherwise, it sounds like assumption, not argument. That's like saying the Constitution supports my point, but you can't name a single amendment. That's just crazy.
the particular conditions that are listed in the Bible are that you have to be physical maturity and emotional maturity, which is extremely vague and throughout society has been seen to be met at puberty.
There is not a verse, but let's kind of go
Okay,
back.
so when is the age of consent
abortion.
under your view?
Let's go back to, well, generally agreed upon it's 18 years old. But let me ask you
But you, because you don't go based on what's generally agreed, you go based on the Bible.
I say 18 years old, but let me ask you a question.
Where's that in the Bible?
When does life begin?
Conception.
Charlie just committed a redirection fallacy. It's strategic from him, but it makes him look like a coward, sorta. He moves from a losing topic to a stronger moral argument. I mean, if you have to pivot to save your life, go for it.
Good. So should we protect all life at conception?
I care about sentient life, not cellular life.
So when do brainwaves start?
Do you think brain dead people should be able to pull the plug on, like a family should be able to pull the plug on an individual in the family that's brain dead?
You got to answer the question. When do brainwaves start?
You can see brainwaves around 6 to 8 weeks, which in brain dead individual there are brainwaves as well. So the brainwaves necessary to produce a subjective experience are met until around 18 through 26 weeks in the womb.
Can you see it from my perspective that at 6 to 8 weeks those brainwaves will actually increase, not decrease, if allowed the process of development to continue?
This is actually one of Charlie's strongest points. He's arguing potential matters, not just current state. For instance, a child isn't an adult yet, but we still value them based on what they're becoming.
Did you know those same EEG scans exist in brain dead people that you don't think are sentient?
No, but the difference with the brain dead people is that the likelihood of those brain waves actually increasing is very low at 6 to 8 weeks, when by 15 weeks they can hear the mom's voice.
It's impossible. It's irreversible sensation. That's what brain death is. I apparently didn't know that.
But no,
it's not coma.
But you're doing a red herring. Go back to
No, it's not. What's a red herring?
A red herring is where you avoid the topic and you say something that is adjacent or symmetrical to what I'm saying, but not actually what I'm saying.
You mean a reductio ad absurdum? That's not a red herring.
A 6 to 8 week baby, if they're allowed to continue to develop, what ends up happening?
At a certain point, it will become a sentient being in the future. The same way that if I keep engaging in sex with my girlfriend, there'll be a baby in the future. Yet I don't care about the
unless
sperm.
you're infertile, which we don't know. But let's see the process of development, right? why
do you want to answer my question yet?
Why do you have the ability or the right?
Should those child P3os go to prison?
The process of
should the pedophiles go to prison?
From 1904. How many pedophiles are alive from 1904?
They're not alive, right? I meant like if you can go back in the past, hypothetically speaking, and you could put them in prison, would you put them in prison?
I would have killed them myself if I was alive back
Okay, so then you don't apply it based upon what people are deceived to believe. You apply it based upon what you consider to be moral. So the women who had abortions, you think they should go to prison. So why should women who get abortions go to prison, but someone like my mom who told me that Santa Claus exists shouldn't go to prison because they're both sins?
This is not going to be a constructive debate if you keep on talking over me.
Well, I was finishing my statement. You were talking over me. Go for it.
Let me ask you a very simple question. Do you think it would be a good thing if we had less abortions in America?
It depends on the context. Like, are the abortions prior to sentience?
Yes,
because I think
all abortions.
No, it would not be necessarily better unless it is the case that the people didn't want the abortions and it would be negatively impactful to their health, medically speaking.
Are you against late-term abortion?
After sentience, yes.
Okay, so you believe in an 8-week abortion ban?
Yeah. No, I don't. Sorry, I believe in an abortion ban after 18 through 26 weeks.
Okay, that's a more reasonable position. I have to give you credit for that.
It's similar to Trump's. 15 weeks?
Yeah, so why do you think that most people don't share your view on that?
Well, people just don't really know what sentience is. There's not a lot of conversation about abortion, and these conversations are very difficult. Like they're conceptually hard to go through, and I understand why a lot of people don't understand their positions on it.
So
but I think people
you are where most
you're cutting
Americans
me off. I thought we weren't cutting people off.
I was actually complimenting you.
Yeah, I have a question. Is church a scam?
No, because church is honoring the divine and the eternal and the good and the true and the beautiful. Is college?
But it deceives people because you give a promise of everlasting life, which you don't actually get because Christianity is contradictory, logically speaking.
Do you want to get into a theological debate, or are we going to talk about college? Because I completely disagree. Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior, and we will have eternal life.
Okay, so how, if there is a perfect being that created the world, how could we exist in an imperfect world?
I'm happy to have this discussion. Can we go back to college, though? Because do you think, because that's a little bit of a red herring and a little bit of a rabbit hole. Tell me what that has to do with college being a scam.
Well, I do think college can be a scam for certain people. I don't think it's a scam for everyone. We agree. So for people like me, college was very beneficial for me.
For sure. Who is it a scam?
I'm asking you, based upon your definition of a scam, do you consider the Christian church a scam?
Of course not. It's giving people eternal life and teaches them goodness.
But if Christianity is false, then that's a deception.
Okay, but you think it's false. I don't. We can agree to disagree. Also,
I'm not agreeing to disagree on that.
But we're not talking about the church. We're talking about college, right? So again, also, people are not paying to go to church, are they?
But it's a reductio ad absurdum. Do you know what that is?
Ask the question.
What's a reductio ad absurdum?
That's a Latin term that means reducing down to the lowest common belief, correct?
Yeah, so I'm taking
Am I right? I didn't go to college. I knew that.
I'm taking your particular position.
Let me ask you a question without you interrupting me. Do you pay to go to church?
No, I don't. Some people do. They're forced to pay based upon their particular denomination.
And today, do you pay to go to church?
Depending on the church.
No, you don't. Do you have to go to debt to go to church?
In some circumstances, people do because they have to give up 10% of their income to be able to do that, which people can't afford.
Circumstance?
Well, they're LDS. You understand that a lot of LDS churches specifically require 10%.
Yeah, they don't require it. And what you're
talking about in plenty of places.
Well, you're asking mainline Christian.
Isn't there stigmatization if you don't do that?
Okay, you're good at interrupting, not good at answering.
Well, you haven't answered any of my questions yet.
I did say no. Church is not a scam. Church is the bride of Christ. College is a scam, and college is. People are going into debt. They're paying a lot of money. But I want to ask you a question. You said it's a scam for some people. Who's it a scam for?
Yeah, for people who specifically aren't ever going to use it, never use any of the knowledge that they retain from it. Well, you say 52%. I don't think you can qualify 52% of people don't do that.
What number would you say?
For example, my job, that's not going to be recommended as an economics degree. Most economics majors are going to go into TikTok debating online. But I use the information that I learned in college in my job on a daily basis. I still use relevant qualities that are then used in my job later on.
What percentage of kids that go to college are being scammed?
I don't think anyone knows that. Because it's dependent upon an individual. I have no clue.
Shouldn't we try to find out?
Well, if you'd like to find some empirics on that, I'd love to see it.
I just did. So 41%.
That's not a source.
Well, the Department of Education is a source.
No, the Department of Education doesn't say 41% of people it was a scam for, or that they didn't use any of the information they learned in college.
You are using.
So are you saying none of them use any of the information?
Can I say 3 words without you interrupting me?
Do any of them use the information later on?
Can I say 5 words that interrupt me?
Well, you've interrupted me multiple times.
So since you say college is a scam for some people, it's a ballpark. For the kids that do not graduate, 41% that ended up going and not graduating, were they scammed?
No, just because you go and pay for a particular thing, but then you don't follow through with it, doesn't mean you were scammed.
Maybe they were misled.
You decided to pay for it. Oh, you could say some people are misled. Some people are stigmatizing to these things.
Do you think that
some people are misled in the church? And you never answered my question on that because you're trying to take that time down so that you don't have to answer the question about Christianity because you know your worldview looks terrible.
Well, what about Christianity do you want me to answer? We're talking
about I think it's false. Or because I was saying,
Okay.
is church a scam? If church is a scam, that'd be predicated off of the
Okay,
idea that
but-
you're deceived into believing that there's everlasting life,
Okay, but you
specifically from
believe
Christianity.
that again.
So Christianity has to be true. So can you grant that? What's the argument?
Christianity is true. Did the
What's
resurrection?
the argument?
You're going to let me finish 3 words in a row?
Appreciate it.
Okay. Did the resurrection happen?
I don't think the resurrection occurred.
Okay, I disagree.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. A perfect creator, is it possible for them to not desire something imperfect?
Is a perfect creator? I'm sorry. What? Well, we
There's a
believe,
perfect creator that desires everything that's just perfect. How can they desire something imperfect, flawed?
well, because maybe they want to get to know themselves. Maybe they want to see their own creation. Maybe they love.
They
their
want to get to know them? He's all-knowing.
Can I finish? Can I finish talking here? Okay. Maybe because God loved the world so much that His creation, which rebelled against Him, given agency and free will, rebelled against them, then got eternal life, what we actually deserve, and then sent His Son on a rescue mission to save us from that. The church is the bride of Christ, will save us from damnation that we deserve. College is far from the bride of America. It's currently scamming the youth of this country and sending them into oblivion.
Didn't answer the question.
I did.
No, you didn't say how they could desire something imperfect.
Well, God can
We'll
do
talk about
anything.
that later. Don't
God
worry.
can do anything. So
Oh, even something logically contradictory?
it's not logically contradictory.
To desire something imperfect?
Can an unstoppable object hit a immovable force? I think this is going to take the entire time.
You're welcome.
30 on, 30 off.
How do you feel about the Senate?
As far
Electoral
as
college?
her tie-breaking vote of the Senate?
No.
Right
I'm just saying like
chance?
Senate. Like
the-
the Senate is technically DEI in a certain sense.
This is a redefinition or equivocation fallacy by Parker. This is where things go off the rails. He's redefining DEI to mean any imbalance, but that's not how the term is commonly used. By that logic, every system with different roles is DEI, including sports teams, companies, everything.
For like small states, like Wyoming gets people in Wyoming get a
like
greater
Rhode
vote
Island
than me
and
in
Hawaii.
California.
Like Rhode Island and Hawaii.
I'm giving you an example. California, I get less of a vote than someone who exists in Wyoming. So we're giving people in Wyoming more say than they necessarily should, given that they're one individual. So why do you believe in DEI as it relates to how our government is set up?
Got it.
But you don't believe in DEI in terms of allowing for people who are black or who are women to be in positions of power that they
Got
have
it.
not been allowed in historically speaking.
Got it. So is the Electoral College and the Senate based on race?
It's predicated off of diversity, equity, and inclusion.
How is
right?
that?
Like inclusion of country areas, inclusion of rural areas, inclusion of white men like you.
Okay, so you mean like Hawaii?
I'm referencing. You could say smaller states or,
Yeah,
or places that have less people in it.
So-
obviously would be able to have more of a say per individual.
So your argument is that the U.S. Senate is a DEI? I gotta be honest, I've never heard that argument, but I think it's a little silly. But
How is it silly? Argue against it instead of just saying it's silly.
Well, right. So it's silly on its face because, first of all, we have on the House of Representatives a proportional of population.
Oh,
Second,
but the Senate isn't. So it's DEI.
it's not DEI.
Yes, it is.
Why would you say it's diversity, equity, inclusion? Because Wyoming gets 2 senators. They're their
Yeah,
own sovereign
diversity
state, aren't they?
For country areas, for rural areas,
That's-
equity
that's-
for rural
that's
areas.
That's not
right,
the
and for smaller states.
So let's go back to the Federalist Papers and the Founding Fathers. Why was the Senate composed
Can you tell me
this
why
way?
it's not DEI? Like under your definition,
Well,
why is
because
it
it's
not
not
DEI?
based on race. And by the
Wait,
way,
it doesn't have to be based
it's
on
also
race.
based. It's not based on
You can have-
equity,
can't
and it's
you
not
have-
based on inclusion.
Can't you have
But
DEI
let me-
based upon different
let me tell you
characteristics
why.
other than race?
Let me finish.
Whether or not you're a woman,
Let me
whether or not
let me finish. Why? It's because we are a collection of states. We are not a federal project. So states' rights usurp federal. Do you know what the 17th Amendment is?
do you know why the Articles of Confederation failed?
Yes, but what is the
Why?
10th Amendment?
Because states had too many rights, had too
Right.
much power.
What is the
That's
10th
why we
Amendment?
specifically adopted the
Parker,
Constitution.
let me make one point, okay?
ahead.
Which is, how did we used to elect senators?
It'd be population.
No. We used to elect senators based on state legislatures. So the Senate is an extension of the state legislative bodies. That's not DEI, that's federalism.
No.
That's the way that our system is
You're
set up,
misunderstanding what I'm
which
saying
is a
is DEI.
bottom-up, citizen-led government to allow the states, which are first and foremost sovereign. So it goes in this ladder in this country.
That's still DEI for those states
Citizens,
and for those country areas.
No, because it's colorblind. It's not that.
It's
we get
wait,
white
again.
states
DEI
more
is
and
not
black
only based
states
on
more.
race.
Hold on a second.
Diversity for country, diversity for rural, equity
Hold
for
on a
rural,
second.
and inclusion of
So,
rural.
well, that's an interesting point. So
you think
diversity.
DEI is only race
Let me
because
ask you a
you
question.
associate it with Kamala Harris?
Let me ask you a question. Is there a single instance in corporate America where DEI is implemented where diversity means anything other than skin color diversity?
So diversity.
No, it's not
women,
about viewpoint.
Women.
What? Fine. How about chromosome or diversity or skin color?
So skin color. There's gender. You have to move the goalpost a little bit because you got destroyed there. All right, but there's also
Well, no, I'm just asking a very simple question. The answer is no, because our system
that
of
doesn't
government.
mean that's not DEI. It still meets your
saying the
definition.
Senate is DEI.
What was your definition though?
What is?
What was your definition? Diversity, equity, inclusion. Diversity doesn't
Well,
only
hold
apply to
on.
race.
Let me
You're just
tell
saying
you-
other people defined
Parker, let me
diversity,
finish.
equity, inclusion to be
Let me
based on
finish.
race. You didn't though.
Let me finish. Because you're saying you didn't earn it. You know who did earn it? South Dakota and North Dakota when they charted themselves into states.
Wyoming didn't earn it because they have less of a
formed themselves
population.
into a state. Hold on. Yeah.
Most people just watch debates. We actually break them down. If that's your thing, like and subscribe so you don't miss the next video tomorrow.